I'm Bob at ILikeToMakeStuff. Today we're going to make a giant display case that's totally adjustable. Today we're back here at my house, and this room used to be the office for me, Josh, and Anthony. Well, those two guys have moved to the building, and now this is just my home office. And so I'm currently tearing it apart to make it look better and make it more usable for what I want to use it for. And one of those things is to display some of the stuff that I like. So I want to build a giant display case that goes right here, because I have a bunch of old toys and different things that I like that I want to look at. And so I want to make a case that I can display them in, make sure it's well lit, and it's enclosed so they don't get dusty. Let me show you the model I'm working on. I jumped into Fusion 360 and modeled up this cabinet, which overall is just a basic cabinet, but it does have doors on the top and the bottom. The ones on the top are really big, and they're going to have some plexiglass inserts. And then on the inside, we're going to do something interesting later on, but first we just have to build the cabinet. I wanted to point out that this was done in Fusion because we have a Fusion 360 online course that will teach you how to use it, and it's a great way to pre-visualize what you're going to build before you actually buy any material or make any cuts at all. So if you want to learn how to use Fusion, hit the link down in the description. Go check out our course. This is an incredibly basic cabinet, so we just need to cut down some plywood for the outside pieces and a big panel for the back, make some dados to inset a shelf. And then once we get this whole thing put together, then we can talk about how the inside's going to work and how the doors are going to work and all that stuff. So let's go cut some plywood. I went ahead and cut down those sheets of plywood, but I wanted to talk about how this is going to go together because it's going to be kind of a wide cabinet. It's going to be 48 inches across, and so it needs some stability so that it doesn't rack this way. And so what I'm going to do here, even though there's a butt joint on the top with some screws, we're going to put in dados for the shelf and for the bottom panel, and that's going to let them insert into the side, and you'll have 3 surfaces there for glue. Now we're also going to add some screws from the outside to make it more rigid, and there's going to be a big inset panel on the entire back of this thing that's going to force it to be in the square that we want it to be. So we're going to cut these dados first, and then we can just kind of glue and screw the whole frame together. I made a mistake, and this is proof that you should always cut a test cut before you actually try your final pieces when using a dado. So what I did here was I stacked up the right number of pieces on the blade, but I had the blades flipped. So these dado blades have a tooth that hangs off them one side more than the other, and I had them like this instead of like this, which means that the teeth of the blade were hanging outside rather than inside. So what that means is the cut was wider than it needs to be because of those teeth were hanging on the outside of my area. So I'm going to have to try to fill that gap, but I'm also going to go ahead and flip these around so the rest of the dados are correct. I'm just going to do a dry fit here to make sure that everything is right before we start adding any glue. And this is the center shelf. I wanted to point out that this is shorter because it's actually going to be sitting on top of or in front of the back panel that's going to be inset in this whole thing. Oh no, that's going to totally fall. Oh no! We're good. We're good. It's fine. These are some trim head screws. They have really tiny heads on them. I'm using these, I've used them before on cabinets because they fade away really easily, and I'm going to be painting all this so you won't see it anyway, but you don't have a big head exposed, you don't have a hole that you have to fill with something else, they're just really tiny. This thing's actually a perfect size. I'm pretty excited about this. But you can see, like I said before, that it does have a lot of rack in it this direction. Once we put that inset panel in here, it's going to be touching all 4 of these sides and through this center cross piece, so it is definitely not going to have this amount of movement. Let me get that piece cut down and we'll glue it in. To finish up the carcass for this, we got to do a couple of things, and that's because it's so wide that we need to support these spans. So this is about 48 inches across, and a 3/4 inch piece of plywood will eventually sag over that kind of a span. The max is like 36 inches or something. So what we're going to do is add a flat piece, like a ledger, that's going to go across here and be glued all along the way, and that's going to stiffen that up just fine. And then for this bottom shelf, we're actually just going to put a divider that will go in here and be tied in between these pieces to support this. It will create a place for the doors to hit and stop. And then we're also going to add another little kick plate along the bottom underneath this to span that one. Next up, we have to make some doors for this thing. We're going to be making 4 doors, and the ones on the top are going to be really big. They're about 4 feet tall, about 2 feet wide. And we're going to have plexiglass in those because right now it's actually kind of hard to get pieces of glass that big in the time frame that I need them. So we're going to use plexi. We can always swap it out later. But either way, we're going to be making some frames and putting in panels, wood and plastic, in those panels. Now, I did this in the kitchen a long time ago. I built a whole bunch of cabinets. We've got a video all about that, using different router bits to make a shaker style door. And you cut 2 different pieces and they fit together. You can totally go that route if you want to, but for this one, we're going to use half laps because we can do it all on the table saw. Now, the cool thing about doing half laps is that you just need the outer dimensions of the door. You don't have to worry about pieces fitting inside because every piece goes to the outside edge in every direction. So what you're doing is you're cutting off half the thickness of the material on this piece, half the thickness on the other one, and then you lay them over top of each other. So the pieces end up being full width and full length all the way in both directions. Makes it easy to measure, and you're making basically the same cut on the end of every piece. We got the dado stack on the table saw, and basically what we're going to be doing is notching out this width, this direction from each piece of wood. So I'm going to line up the outside of the material with the outside of the blade here, and then once we get that locked into place, we can turn the pieces and run them along like this, and it's going to cut that section out. Then we'll move the piece out, cut that section out, and we'll have a half lap. So I started thinking through how to put this plexiglass sheet in there before gluing the whole thing up. And I was planning on being able to swap this out for glass later on. And I think actually it would be easier to go ahead and build this thing into the frame. So make a little slot on the inside of this frame that this can fit into. Glue the entire thing up as one piece. If in the future I want to make these doors with glass, instead I can just get some more 1x2, make a new frame, put glass in it, no big deal. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and cut a dado about the thickness of the blade, just a regular saw blade, down through the middle of these, and make sure that it doesn't extend past to where you're going to see it on the outside edge. And then I'll cut down the sheet to fit on the inside of it, glue the whole thing up, and add some paint, and then the doors will be ready to mount. I measured the inside space of the frame and then added the offset for the little dado that I cut all the way around. So I've got my measurements for the plexiglass, and to cut that, I'm going to use this plexiglass and acrylic saw blade. It's not necessary, but I've shown this before because cutting with this versus a regular blade gives you a much cleaner edge. If you use a regular saw blade, you just got to go slow, but not too slow because it kind of melts it and chips it and stuff. So it just takes some practice. This blade makes it super easy. It has a great finish to the cut, and even though it's kind of an expensive blade, it's worth it. I've actually left the plastic coating on the plexiglass, and I may end up leaving it on there until I get this all painted, and then I can take an X-Acto knife, cut around the outside edge, and just pull off the front face. That will leave a little bit of plastic on the outside edge that's inside this dado, but that actually kind of makes it snug, so it's not a terrible thing. So now, I just have to make another one of those, and then we're gonna make the two shorter doors for the bottom. Those are going to be exactly the same thing, but instead of plexiglass, they're just going to have a piece of thin plywood, maybe like 3 mil or something like that. So I'll get all those made up, and then we'll start getting some paint on this thing. So the doors are all complete, but we still have quite a few things to do on this before we can actually mount them. We've got to add edge banding to all this. We've done that a million times. We've got a bits video if you want to find out more about that. So we're going to skip over that. We're going to skip over the painting. But one of the other things that's going to make this, I think, a little bit unique is using something that is commonly used in shops, and that's a French cleat. So the idea here is to add a French cleat wall to the inside of this thing, and then you can make individual displays for your toys or collectibles or whatever you want to show off, and they can be moved around. That way you don't have to worry about specific size shelves or anything that's going to take up any certain space. You can change it around. I'm planning on looking at some things for a while and then changing them out and looking at something else. Now, if you don't know what I mean by a French cleat, let me show you. It's basically just two pieces that are cut like this with a 45-degree angle on them. You mount one of them to a surface, and then the other one is mounted to the thing you want to hang. So you've got this one mounted to the surface, and then this will go on top of it, and it gets hooked into place temporarily. So basically, we'll have this against the back wall. We can make some sort of a display that has an opposite cleat on them. You can drop it into place, it'll hang there, and then when you want to move it around or change it, you can just pick it up and move it. So I'll get a bunch of these cut down, we'll get them painted, and then we'll put them on. So I got everything painted, I got a coat of paint on these cleats, but I've got these ready to be put on, and I wanted to show how I'm going to put them on evenly. I made a couple of spacers, and these spacers are actually two-dimensional, obviously, but we're going to use the two dimensions for different things. So the 8-inch high side is going to be the spacer for the first one off the bottom, and then past that I'll turn it and use the 4-inch side as the spacer for all the rest of them going up. So it's a quick way to get multiple spacers out of a single piece of scrap. So I've only got 2 screws in each one of these. I'm going to go back and add more so that they are tied to the back all the way across, but 2 is enough to get them in place and held down so I can move the spacers. Now, when you're doing French cleats, you can move them really close to the top of the area that you're going to be hanging stuff. The only space you need above it is room for another cleat to go over and hook around. On the bottom, they don't really need to be that close to the bottom because anything down there is going to sit on the shelf rather than on the bottom cleat. So the spacing in between them just needs to be at least the width of a cleat to fit in there. You can space them however you want. Now that the cleats are on, I'm going to go ahead and put the doors on while it's laying on its back. It's so big, it'd just be easier to lay the doors on top and get them all squared up to the outside edges and then put on the hinges. And for the hinges, I got the smallest ones I could find at the local store. You can get them where they're actually thinner this direction, but this was the smallest in this dimension that I could find, and it's going to work okay for this. It will go right up to the edge of the door. So you'll see the front of it a little bit out here. You could change that out if you want to. But honestly, with the outside of this cabinet, I'm trying to go as square, dark, minimal as possible because I want all the focus to be on the stuff that's on the inside of the cabinet rather than the cabinet itself. It's not looking great so far, but we still have a lot to do. We have to do some touch-up paint on all these holes and clean off all the sawdust and everything. We also have to take off this protective covering on both sides of this plastic. I'm not going to do that until it's in place. We still have to make the things that are going to hang in here. We still have to add some catches so that these doors will actually stay closed, because right now they won't. But one of the other big things is actually adding lighting. Now these are some LED strips that are just in some plastic housings so that they can snap together. And these are for under-counter lighting in a kitchen. but they have these little tabs so that you can just stick them together and you can add as many as you want. Now these are going to be mounted on the inside of the door, and the wire is going to run along the bottom of the door. That way, when it's closed, the light's going to be coming from the same direction that you're looking at it onto the stuff that's being displayed. There's nothing special about these LEDs. They just need to be stuck to the inside of the door, run the wires, no big deal. The thing that's unique here is the French cleat system. And so you can make any number of things to mount on here to display any number of things. You can make shelves, you can make a helmet mount, you could make an entire diorama, which is something I really want to try out. But for the short term, let's go ahead and make a couple of really simple shelves just so we can set some stuff on top of them. You can see what I'm talking about. I got the lights put on and they look pretty cool. They're adding a lot of light. So the last thing here to make this look like an actual door is to get rid of this plastic. I'm going to take a blade around the outside edge and the inside edge, separate the paint and the plastic from the acrylic that's on the inside, and then peel those away, and then we're ready to start putting stuff in the cabinet. So I made a bunch of these shelves, and this is an example of one of them. Basically, they're just different sizes of this same thing. It's 2 pieces of MDF with glue and screws through the bottom to hold them in this shape, the cleat in the back, like we talked about before. And so these can just hook on here, and they kind of fade into the background, and so that you're actually focused on the thing that's on the shelf, unless that's not all you want. In this case, I actually wanted to make like a little diorama thing. So even though this is subtle, we're basically gonna make a little Star Wars looking background with a sheet of paper and some laser cut MDF. I painted it black, and so I'm gonna get this all put together, and then we'll put some toys right in front of it to have a little scene. Using the same cleat system, you can hang all sorts of stuff. This is actually a helmet hanger that I made in a video a long time ago. And the cool thing is I can unscrew this from the wall, screw it to a piece of wood that's on a cleat, and then hang it in here. So now I can take a helmet that I've made and actually mount it in here with everything else. And since I made this cabinet so deep, having something as deep as a helmet is not a big deal. One of the things I'm definitely going to change on this going forward is replacing these big doors. I think that they need to have a rabbit on the back rather than a dado so that I can completely paint the frames and then put the plastic in. That's a pretty easy change, and I can do it at any time. I also think getting one more pack of these LEDs would let me light the full height of the inside of this case. Of course, I totally could have gone to IKEA and just bought some shelves or a bookcase, but this is completely flexible. I've got a huge viewable area, and I can move around the stuff on the inside as much as I want with very little effort. I'm really excited about being able to look at the things that inspire me, and I hope this gave you some ideas for something that you could make in your home to inspire you as well. If so, I'd love to hear about it down in the comments. If you're interested in making one of these display cases for yourself, we're gonna have some digital plans on the website. Go take a look at those and see if they might work for you. And if you make one of these, I would love to see pictures of it. We've got tons of other types of videos that you may want to check out, and if you're not subscribed, be sure to do that as well. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Hey, give me that. Ah! We're gonna have some digital plans on the website. Hey, I'm Bob at ILikeToMakeStuff. Man. Shelves, and I've never seen.